Judy Dan, one of the rock star, and I'm so proud, so happy to have her right here and sharing her wisdom and her nuggets with all of you. And this is an exciting journey for me. In this episode, we're going to learn from her. We are going to, reveal. She's going to reveal some secrets to us. She's going to guide us through what made her successful in trading business, and she's a success story worth inspiring all of us. So, welcome, Judy. Welcome to this show, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Manoj. I'm so honored that you invited me to this opportunity. Frankly, I'm not sure whether I could be of any benefit to our audience, but I will try my best to share some of my views on about my experience and about option trading.
Pleasure is mine, Judy. Absolutely. I'm sure you will be able to add a lot of value to this conversation and value to those who are watching this. So, Judy, why not you just share a little bit about yourself? Tell them a little bit, just give them a little bit background and an inside peek about who you are.
Sure. My background, I graduated with a accountancy and a law degree, and I basically grew my career in the financial sector. I had enjoyed a very exciting career. I joined a MNC, US NMC for 20 years, and out of 20 years, 15 years was working overseas. And I was fortunate to be working in US and in China, and both of these are the biggest countries in the world. So you can imagine the life experience and the corporate experience that I had. It was totally fulfilling to me. And then 3 years ago, I actually decided to retire because I felt that in my life, once I reach a peak, I need to do something different. And then as for my hobbies, I like traveling. So I've been traveling around the world since I retired, especially so until COVID came. So now with COVID, I'm grounded, but I'm looking for the next opportunity where I can travel again. And meanwhile, option trading is a fine activities for me to go into and have more fun with it.
That's like repivoting. Everybody is taken by surprise, especially with COVID-19 and the lockdowns and things that are happening, and
Mm.
people are rediscovering their hobbies and etc. So, what brought you into investing? What interested you, and how did you get started with options trading?
Okay, basically, because I'm financially trained, so I started investing in small little ways when I was working. I started from property and then slowly into financial products. But frankly, because my priority then was really building my career. So I didn't have much time to manage my investment portfolio. It was here and there and everywhere, and nobody was really looking at it. So when I retired 3 years ago, I told myself my priority, first thing is to consolidate my investment portfolio and manage it since I have the time. And then along the way, I heard about options trading. And it sounded interesting to me because I've never been into options trading. And I like the sense of being busy, actively managing a trading portfolio instead of leaving it to the banks and letting the banks manage for me. And I also saw that option trading, the portfolio that we had, is a good complement to my overall portfolio, kind of a diversification as well, and allowing me the ability to be active. And then, as luck would have it, I heard of OptionPundit. I attended your free one-day workshop, and I was so impressed by you. I mean, I was blown away by your passion and your knowledge and the way you deliver your training in such a fun and easy way to understand. So I just went ahead and I said, no, I'm going to sign up. That was without hesitation. I didn't know what I was going into. And that was slightly more than a year in July last year. it was a little bit delayed since I retired, but because I was busy traveling. So at that time, I just came back from a 4-month world cruise, and I had enough. So I wanted to be more serious on my investment side.
Wow. And it's been about a year roughly.
Yeah.
And in a year's time, I've also seen how you progressed. And as you are also part of the Inner Circle Mastermind, I've seen you close. I've seen how you have been progressing very well. And that resulted in your success as well. Your passion and your process orientation attitude towards making it work for you, it resulted in. And can you share a little bit about your success, like how it resulted into what sort of results have you achieved since then?
Okay. Basically, I focus on the simple strategies because I am very new in option trading, and I started by selling cash secured puts, um, and selling some covered calls as well. The reason why I started that way was because I was in a mode of increasing my portfolio, and I identify stocks that I want to go in. So by selling puts, I could get them at a discounted value. So that was a very good approach for me. And then I sell. I am currently holding some shares given by my company. So I sell covered calls, and actually till this date, it's more than a year now. Only a couple of stocks were assigned, and I actually don't mind being assigned, but it didn't get assigned. If I get assigned, it falls into my investment plan. So I felt that it's win-win. And then for my cover calls, none of my cover calls were called away. And again, I was telling myself, if these get called away, these are my favorite stocks. If these get called away, I'm not going to feel sad about it. It's just part of my trading plan. So along the way, and then with your coaching, I kind of developed this mindset, the psychology to option trading. Is very important. You have to be able to sleep well and live well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw how you have been managing the portfolio, not just from it. I mean, selling put can also be daunting. It can also be risky. But the way you structured your portfolio, you kept it within the rules that you learn in the program. You
Yeah.
learn how to hedge if something goes down. In fact, I remember your portfolio during the COVID-19 itself, when everything was just falling apart, how you managed it, how you sailed through it. That was really, really awesome.
Yeah. I was lucky. But I
Luck
think
only comes to those who are fully prepared.
that psychology is important. You've been cautioning us about trading within our allocation, and that is so important. And if I do have losses and I can't hedge them, and I have to accept it and bite the bullet and I just move on. So that is the attitude I have, because it's not the end of the day that you lose money, right? So I kept on doing that and kept on moving. I think I enjoy that.
And in spite of all these ups and downs that we have seen a massive rally, then we have seen a massive crash. In last 1 year, we saw the market melt up, especially going and scaling new heights and after new heights. And then again, suddenly the sharpest decline in the entire history of the stock market. And based on what I saw, that your profits have already grown, and it's easily about six figures. Would you give some insights to our people who are watching this show? How has been your returns in terms of absolute dollars, roughly?
In my first year, I actually made about 100,000. And I think I was lucky. I am not sure, but what I did was I basically make sure I have a pipeline of open deals. When I have pipelines of open deals, and these trades are, I can close when the market is high, or I can close when the market is down. So I ensure that there's a pipeline for me to close. And if I don't have those in the pipeline, I can't close anything. So that was my approach. And anytime I have 60% open position and then 40% closed position. So that was the ratio that I maintain.
I think that was absolutely fantastic. And we reviewed your pipeline, how you're building up. So for the benefit of our viewers, could you just share what is this pipeline that you're referring to? How you build that pipeline that you're referring to in your business model?
The pipeline is like if I'm selling puts or I'm selling covered calls, I kind of stagger the dates. And then sometimes I buy calls and buy puts. I also stagger the dates. So in a way, just go in the pool, and then one day if I'm lucky, I started closing. So actually during the downtime, I was able to kind of buy back my positions and come out. Those positions that I could buy back, I actually bought them back. And those I couldn't buy back, I kind of hold them. Some of them are longer term, so I don't really, I have time to manage. Those shorter terms, I will then have to pay more attention.
Look at you and how you are managing all this. Are you trading full time? It gives an impression as if you're trading full time.
No, I actually don't want to trade full time because I'm retired. I'm supposed to be enjoying life. So no, but it depends on how you define full time. With my portfolio, I actually would trade most nights if I don't have any appointments. And then maybe 2 or 3 hours because I'm early, I need to go and sleep. And then the next morning, I will spend like half an hour reviewing the portfolio and updating my P&L to make sure that to have a sense of where I am and what I've achieved or what I've lost. I review that position and then plan if I can enter further trades for the night.
Now, so you're focusing primarily on two areas, which is especially on selling puts to acquire the shares that you are interested, and the second is around the covered call. Can you give us some insights about how do you select the stocks you would like to sell without really going into your specific methods? Maybe you could give some insights on how do you select the stocks for selling puts?
Because of my financial background, it was easy for me to pick the blue chips. I basically look at the strong companies, and then I go into analyzing their history, their dividend paid out ratio, and how the company is, whether the company is reinvesting their profits to grow. And also I focus on those companies. And I make sure that I don't overly expose in each sector. So I have companies in different sectors.
And someone who doesn't have a financial background, I mean, you have some background, so you could go through those numbers and analyze those numbers. But someone who doesn't have a background, then how would you recommend? What would you suggest them? Is this a good approach? And if it's a good approach, what would be your maybe a few suggestions how to find out some blue chips?
I think now with access to internet, you could quite easily find it. Like Warren Buffett, just follow, just follow Warren Buffett and get into those stocks. But I suppose it's a matter of time you picked up. I actually find that my knowledge of the U.S. Companies has been growing since I started trading. I know what's going on. I know the behavior of the stocks, and that's important. For me to, it's an added advantage besides reading charts.
Yeah. You're also doing covered calls.
Yeah.
And covered calls, for those who do not know, is like it's a portfolio, and you can enhance your yield by following a very structured approach for that portfolio, and you can generate additional returns on the portfolio that you already have. Otherwise, it's like you are leaving money on the table. So, what would you? How do you select maybe strikes or your pipeline for your portfolio, which is around the covered call strategy?
For the covered calls, I pay more attention to the strikes and the premium, and sometimes I have to balance the two. And I use the DT to stretch if I want to get more premiums, and I make sure there is a buffer, big enough for the shares not be caught away, but small enough to give me the premium that I'm looking for.
Very good. That's correct. So you look at the premium that's been working for you. You also look at the risk to reward ratio between the trades and the premium, the durations as well.
Yeah.
Now, if I were to look at, I mean, you have achieved certain success now, and you are doing it pretty much like in autopilot mode. So there are certain things which must have played a crucial role to reach to that stage. If you were to pick up those two or three things that you think really helped you to reach to that stage, what would those things be?
I think is the trading within the allocated limits, allocated capital. That's very, very crucial. I can't stress more important than that. That allows me to know that if losses does happen, I don't have to worry. I will be able to take those losses if I can't manage those risks. And managing the risk is an important part. Like I've said before, opening the trade is easy. It's managing it that is like more difficult. So it's like 30% opening, 70% of my time is managing it. That's very important. So trading within the limits is crucial.
So that's one. Any other things that you think are really crucial to reach to that stage?
The psychology of willing to let go.
Yeah.
Yeah, willing to let go. Like you don't fight against your emotions.
Yeah.
Like if your shares, you sell covered calls and your shares are being called away, you don't fight against that emotionally. You don't fight against that. You just let it go and buy back in the future. So that mindset is important.
And in
Willing to let
fact,
go.
this is quite related to the earlier point you mentioned. And you can only uh, not allow emotions to come if your allocation is right.
Yeah.
If your allocation is too much, then definitely the emotions will be affected, and one will negate each other, and they're going to have a negative impact on each other.
Yeah, you'll be very fearful. And often I feel very sorry for those people who are running out of their capital and the stress that they are going through. That is very scary.
Yeah.
So avoid that. That is not the path we want to go to. And I always caution myself, I have to do that.
And in this entire journey, if you look back and if you were to see what worked for you and what did not work for you, so people who are watching this can also learn from maybe your mistakes and follow your things that worked very well for you and kind of replicate it.
What worked for me? I think it was the simple strategies. I stick to very simple strategies. That really helped me with a clear mind, and I train in such a way that I don't have to worry too much. I do from time to time have some excitement when I play speculative trades. During OPIC, I do that, just for the fun,
Yeah.
And then what works? Actually, the support platform that you created is amazing. when I signed up OPIC, I find that my confidence just picked up. I may not be active in OPIC, but by just being part of OPIC and listening to my buddies in OPIC, I learned so much. I learned so much. I don't have to trade every deal, but I find that the association helps, and being affiliated with you definitely help.
Thank you.
I frankly I don't know where how I will be trading without coming into your contact last July a year ago. So that helps. And then back to the OPIC community. Having the community, within that group, I do have a buddy, whom I always go to check with him. Sometimes they have sanity check, and he always give me very good advice. So you should interview him.
Okay. Powerful, powerful.
Yeah. So I had fun being in the trading room with all of you.
If you were to, that brings me to the point of education. If we wanted to be a teacher or an engineer or whatever profession you want to go in, we prepare very well for it.
Yeah.
But sadly, I've seen that when people go for the trading, usually they think, I'll just open my trading account, fund the trading, and I start trading. How would you describe the importance of trading education or financial education in
right. I am a believer of education. When I decided that I want to take up option trading, I make sure that I have proper training, and I was lucky to find OptionPundit and to have found you. And then after my PPI course, I actually signed on for the condo to further advance my skills. At that time, I was not even thinking of trading condo, but I just want to advance my skill because it was my entry into a new trading world. And then after that, OP came along and I just signed up, just to see where it takes me to. So that is the approach I have in my life. Whenever, if I'm going into something, I open up my mind and I see where the nature takes me to. So I was lucky to have adopted this route rather than trying to struggle on my own, and then after that and falling into pits and then going for training. I like to go for training right from the start to make sure I studied right.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that important point. As we review, trading is, I like to say, that trading is probably the most difficult thing you will do for an easy life. Remember that? So there are certain things, and a lot of time we are driven by either percentage or we look for gains. And we have done a lot of exercise as well, where you have seen me asking, okay, what are your long-term goals? And when you bring it down, long-term goal, you set up like a corporate vision that I want to achieve these goals, and we follow a plan. But along the way, there are ups and downs. You will see markets rallying hugely. You will see markets going down. So how do you manage your emotion, Judy? Do you have some sort of process in place? How do you check to that fear and greed in your trading?
I think it was conditioning my mindset. I am basically a very positive person, so I don't let challenges or problems let me down. Every time when I see a problem, I say that is an opportunity. So that mindset always turn me on the positive side. So if I'm making losses, for example, I will say, okay, I will assess what is my bottom line. What is the bottom line? Define it. And then once I establish that bottom line, I have a plan to recover. So I will be a little bit more aggressive in recovering because I had the losses before. So I will be recovering, and then sometimes it works, but most times I come out okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still within, if I do have losses, it's within my ability to take those losses.
So really it boils down to allocating very well. It's so crucial. If
Mm,
your allocation is within your limits, within your, if it's outside of that comfort zone, then of course it will trigger emotions.
yeah, yeah.
You may be right, but maybe right only after you suffer the losses. You know
Yes,
that I keep saying this.
yes.
Yes, market will crash, but you don't know when it will crash.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
you keep taking the bearish trade when the market is keep going up, whether for irrational reason, whether for quantitative easing, whether through stimulus packages, anything could be taking place.
Mm,
If it keeps going up, then you are actually fighting against that powerful force.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you may be right, maybe 1 year, 2 year later, but that genius is of no use after the money is gone, after
Yeah,
the
yeah.
count is over.
I also found that the losses versus the fear that you have, I find the fear is more crucial. It's
Yeah.
something that I want to protect. It's for my well-being. If I have to take losses, I take losses. But I have to make sure that I don't get emotionally drawn down
Yeah.
by the losses. Yeah.
Now, share a little bit about identifying your trade. So let's imagine this is your first day, and you have acquired the right education, you have the skills, you have practiced on paper money, you've really sharpened your craft. And I think that will also be a suggestion that I would like to share to all the viewers who are watching it, that you have to practice your craft before you go on the real money. Real money is actually real. If it leaves from your pocket, then
Mm,
it takes a lot of efforts to bring it back.
mm.
So when you are going to trade with the real money, before that, make sure you're sharp in the craft. Now, assuming that you're sharpened, assuming you are going in, you're looking for a trade, how do you set up for either identifying a company for selling puts or covered call, or for any other trading system? How do you go about it?
Basically, the investors' approach, just stocks that I'm comfortable with and stocks where I'm very familiar with their performance in the market. Um, and then I will just go in, within my comfort. Very, very simple.
So in your list, I assume you have done some work, you have some good stocks, and you're building up your portfolio. For the viewers who are watching this, do you want to share some stocks that they might benefit from your work that you've already done, that they can piggyback on your research?
A couple, like Caterpillar is the main one. I mean, I have strong faith in these stocks. Then I have like Disney World. Disney World. What else? I have NOC.
And OC, the defense contractor.
Yeah, yeah. What else do I have? Now I can't remember off my
Okay,
head.
three are fine. I think three is
Yeah, yeah.
good for them to start. So let me repeat that for the benefit of all the viewers. You have Caterpillar, and you have strong faith in Caterpillar. And second is Disney, and the third one is NOC. Now, we also need to say that these are her list. These are based on her conviction about those companies. Doesn't mean that you strongly believe. So you should also do your due diligence to find out whether these companies suits your criteria or not, whether or not would you like to have it. But seems like Judy has been following a strict approach, a very disciplined approach. She has been using the right money allocation principles as well, so that she is trading within a defined limit. And if something goes wrong, the losses are something that she can held on to
Mm.
in the portfolio. Now, if you were to go back, Judy, like let's say when you started your investing journey, and if you were to do it completely fresh now, would you change whatever you did? And if you were to change, what changes would you make?
No, I'm a person who go by the flow. So when I started, I just go on very simple approach. I took the PPI, I took your course, and I associated myself with you to learn from you, and you mentored me very well. So I to look back and start all over again, I don't feel that's relevant to me. It's the path I take, and I just make the best out of that path. So I don't go back and think whether I could do it another way.
Okay, thank you. Looking at what you have done and summarizing the approach that you took for the benefit of the viewers who are watching it a little later, maybe, or who skipped the initial part, they can always watch this recording, go back and look at it. But what you focused upon was right from the beginning, educating and learning.
Mm,
And
mm.
then you have been an action oriented person. I know how massive action you took. You took initially a well deserved break. I still remember your long holiday, and you took a well deserved. How long was that, by the way?
And that was a 4 month long cruise round
4 months
the globe.
long cruise. Yeah, and so good. You took it just before COVID-19. Wow,
Yeah, I was blessed.
yeah, that was really awesome. So you took a well-deserved break and then you deep dive. And I remember the conversations you had. I remember how much you chased me as well to figure out and answer your questions, how participative you were, and you took trades. You break down those trades to really understand the whole process. And then you found what were your strengths. Initially, it was exploration, multiple strategies to figure out what suits to your style. Am I right by saying
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And then you found that your mojo or your happiness was in terms of, you know, the selling put strategy, so you can acquire the stocks you like. And once you acquire those stocks, then you hedge them properly, you protect them properly, and then you also generate additional yield on
Mm,
that. And that's where you have described and you've generated a very, very, respectable figure, a six-figure figure in this short period of time. So there are many female viewers who are also watching this show, and I would like you to share something with them, share your thoughts, not just female viewers as well, maybe applicable for all who are watching this show. What would you like to tell them? Financial markets are considered usually perceived as if a difficult one, something that you can't do. You need, a lot of education and things. What are your thoughts about it for them, for beginners, completely newbie who are watching this?
mm, 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 mm. Well, for all those ladies out there, I say go for your dreams. Don't let your fear hinder you from pursuing your dreams. Financial market may sound complicated, but with more practice and more time spent in understanding it, you will get there. So don't give up because it's a financial market you can't touch. More often than not, the problem seems to be bigger than what we imagine it to be. But actually, when you get to doing it, it's like it's easy, it's doable. So got to go and keep on trying. Don't give up. At least if you try, you have a chance to succeed. If you try and you succeed, you will be glad that you tried. And if you try and you fail, at least you are one step nearer to your success. And to me, I feel that you know life is all about experiencing the good and the bad, and then you come out stronger than before. So one thing I learned when I was overseas is courage. Have the courage to live your dreams so that you can live it in a purposeful, meaningful way. And I always believe that the path of success is already there. It's up to you to go and get it. A lot of people they are hindered by their fear, so they didn't get it. But it's already there. Just go and get it and have the courage to make it happen. Nothing to lose. And then there is the famous saying that success just would not come to you. You have to go and get it.
Well,
That's all I have to share.
So powerful. Success. Yeah, you have to go and get it. And trading is just one of the mechanism. I mean, trading is not the end of the world kind of thing. You can do whatever you like to
Yeah,
do, wherever your passion lies. This is just one of the tools, one of the ways for you to generate money from an existing market that is operating almost 24 hours. Um, so yeah, thank you for sharing your powerful message. And once again, Judy, it was my absolute pleasure and privilege to have you, to listen to your words, and have some nuggets from you to share with the viewers. And I look forward to seeing you again on the show and deep dive into some more things.
thank you very much. Thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity to share my views.
And so once again, thank you for being on the show. My honor, my privilege, and absolute pleasure to have Judy on the show. With all that, let's continue to watch. Let's look for our next guest in the next episode. Till then, keep rocking, live in the moment, for the moment, and enjoy the life. See you soon.